It is finally here. Let's Argue AFL, the very first episode of this. Thank you, Anthony Fantano. If you do not know him, I feel like he's just someone that you know of, but don't know you know him, if that makes sense. He's someone that I watch very often nowadays. Basically does a bunch of music reviews and has a series on his second channel called Let's Argue, where his audience sends him bold statements and their opinions on what they believe is their truth or whatever they believe is correct, and give me their best opinions. So today I'm going to start. I'm going to do my first one for the AFL season. I'm pretty sure everyone who has said a comment is going to get into the video. So if you left a comment on that video, you will be in this edition of Let's Argue. But as always, be sure to leave your comments and leave everything below in the comment section below of new opinions, because I would like to keep this going. Obviously, if things go the same way they've been going for a while, your comment will find its way into the next video as well. So starting off, who will get the wooden spoon? Well, if you want my honest answer, Hawthorn. Look, obviously I understand that a lot of people are going to believe that North Melbourne are getting the wooden spoon this year. I don't appreciate that this was the very first comment on the call-out video, so I really don't appreciate that, Keely. But look, at the end of the day, I'm going to stick with my gut and say Hawthorn. I'm going to say Hawthorn because I need to show some kind of faith in North Melbourne. They need to be able to go out there and prove themselves, and I think they've got a little bit more in there in the tank for them to come out and finish up the season, because they are only one game behind Collingwood and Hawthorn right now. Now, I have no clue whether that means we need to win one or two more games, because Hawthorn may win one or two more games. We never know. We may get a Gold Coast situation where they start off really well, have 3 wins, and then lose the rest of the year. That was a tough... I still remember that Gold Coast stretch. I'm like, Jesus, this is rough. But yeah, if you want my honest opinion, I'm going to go with Hawthorn. I think Hawthorn will get the wooden spoon this year. Please. This one is from Crazy Cuba. I hope I'm saying this right, but Dogs will win Premiership or Melbourne. So either the Dogs or Melbourne will win the Premiership is what I'm presuming you're saying here. But I want to agree. I do. If I were to be honest, though, I think it's going to be either Geelong or probably the Dogs? I don't know. I really do not know, because on Melbourne's best days, you saw when they played the Dogs, they just hounded them. They were on top of them. You couldn't stop them. They were ridiculously difficult to stop. But the Dogs are also a very well-oiled machine. They, I think, perform at a higher rate and a higher quality game more often than Melbourne do. However, Melbourne at the biggest stages so far have just proven themselves. But I think when it comes to finals time, I mean, a while ago they did make finals. They made it to the prelim, I believe. Was it the prelim? And then they ended up losing to... I don't know whether it's 2018 or 19 this happened, but they made it to the prelim quite recently. So I think they'll make it to the prelim at least. But I agree with the Dogs, not so much the Demons, which is probably a really interesting take to a lot of people considering the results of last week, considering the Demons ended up taking the Dogs to task. But I also just have a feeling with the Cats, man. The Cats, they're just one of those teams that always stick around, and Richmond. But I believe Richmond will get topped off this season. I think there's a chance. But if I was to pray for anything, if I was hoping for anything, I would say Brisbane. I think Brisbane are the team I want most to win. Which, I don't know whether that's surprising to people or not, but Brisbane is just such an exciting young team. Hugh McCluggage, Jared Lyons, Lachie Neale off a Brownlow medal season. I'd love to see what they can do. And Mitch Robinson is always a good time as well. But who knows? We'll have to see. It's a very interesting season this season. I'm going to go with this comment from Benny Parish next, because I think it's a very, very interesting one. Who would win, the 2013-15 Hawks or the 2000-2003 Lions? And this is so tough, because the 2013-15 Hawks weren't just the 2013-15 Hawks. Obviously, their dynasty and their big years were between 13 and 15, getting the three-peat. But the Lions did 4 grand finals in a row. They didn't get the 4-peat because they lost in 2004 to Port Adelaide, if I remember correctly. But 2000 to 2003, I believe they went... I don't know whether they played in the grand final in 2000. I don't think they did. I think Melbourne did. I think it was Melbourne and Essendon in 2000, if I'm going correctly. But the Lions had their 3-peat from 01, 02, and 03. And in 04, they almost pulled off the 4-peat. I'm starting to catch myself up on this one. I do not know. I really do not. But the 2013-15 Hawks had some awesome players. I know for sure that their team was awesome. Sam Mitchell, Jordan Lewis, Buddy Franklin for that little bit of time. You had Cyril Rioli, Jared Roughhead. Just a few names to really give you an idea of what those 13-15 Hawks were. But 2003, that had Michael Voss, I believe. Jason Ackermanis. I don't know about Jonathan Brown. I think maybe Jonathan Brown, yeah. I don't know about Simon Black either, maybe. I'm not too sure. I'm not as well versed on the 2000 to 2003 Lions than I am the 13-15 Hawks. I'm going to go with the 13-15 Hawks because that team not only was fun, but comparing the two, I think there's better matchups for the 13-15 Hawks. I'm forgetting Luke Hodge. How am I forgetting Luke Hodge? That team was awesome. It had so much, and that's not taking anything away from the Lions. It could just be because I'm not up to date with that specific Lions squad. And trust me, if I knew exactly what they were about, I'd say the Lions. I do have an idea, and I've seen footage of their grand finals in a few of their seasons, and they were definitely a dominant team. I mean, to go for 4 in a row, that's not only just a bit of luck, but that's a true dynasty. That is a true dynasty, but so is the Hawks. And the Hawks runs all the way back to 2009, if I'm correct. I don't know. No, 2010. Oh, was it 2008? They've been in they won a grand final before the 13 to 15 dynasty. I want to search it up almost because that feels way too like in my head. Yeah, 2008 with Shane Crawford, if I'm correct. Yeah, Shane Crawford was part of that team. Luke Hodge was also part of that 2008 team. So like a lot of like players from that 2013 to 15 dynasty. Also had a bit of glory with the 2008. So you've got 13-15. You've got some premiership experience already in that team. The Lions, I don't know who on that team may have played before their grand final season in 01, I believe. But 2013-15, a lot of them have 4 premierships under their belt. A lot of them have a ton of grand finals. I guess experience doesn't matter as much. Benny, your question has made me go on just some kind of rant. It's unbelievable, but that team was awesome. Both the teams, but I'm going to go with the 2013-15 Hawks. I'm going to go with some Brownlow questions now. I've got a lot of different ones. I'm going to start with Anthony. Anthony's asked 3, and I'm going to be answering all of them. But Anthony, one of his questions was McRae for Brownlow, and I wouldn't be against it. However, I don't think it'll happen because he's on such an incredible team right now. Like, Marcus Bontempelli, out of that entire squad, is probably the most likely to win it. But I'd argue McRae deserves those votes as well. I think McRae and Bontempelli are 2 amazing players leading that squad. You've got Josh Bruce and Anthony Northen, Aaron Norton. Those 2 in the forward line helping out. You've got pretty much everyone around the ball. The back line is some of the best I've seen in a really long time, apart from that Melbourne game. The only one I didn't see them really show out was that Melbourne game, but the back line, Bailey Dale, you've got Keith, you've got... I'm not sure whether Lockie Hunter's a backman, but I know that he's always around the ball helping out, but their back line is so nice, and I think that's going to do, not only McRae, but I think that's going to do Bontempelli as well. And the next question from Dylan Pato, I think has a better chance of getting the Brownlow, if I'm being completely honest. Is Darcy Parish a favourite for the Brownlow? I definitely say he's up there. He's having a really, really good season. Anzac Day, I believe, that incredible performance against Collingwood that got him the Anzac medal. That was an incredible performance from him. He's been on a tear as of late. I think over the last however many weeks, maybe even months, the dude only had 1 game, and his lowest was like 26 possessions. I think he's only had that 1 game below 30 possessions. Obviously, McRae has had no games below 30 possessions, but at the same time, Darcy Parish is leading an Essendon squad that hasn't seen too much glory in a while to potentially a finals position and potentially a finals win, something they've been searching for ages. Obviously, narratives don't really matter for the AFL Brownlow, but I'd say that Darcy Parish has a better chance than Jack McRae for Brownlow. But this next question from Lewis is just a general question overall, a general statement. Who's going to win the Brownlow? I truly think I have absolutely no clue. I am being legitimate when I say that. I cannot decide. I really cannot. If I was to go with my gut, I'd say McRae, but obviously the fact that he's playing with so many great players is going to mess him up. Bontempelli is a Brownlow favourite as well. And I would have said, I want to go out there and say Toby Green, but Toby Green has been too injured for way too long. But if he had played to his fullest, Toby Green had a good chance, man. If he wasn't injured and didn't have to sit out for a while, Toby Green had a good chance. He started off on fire. The dude was incredible. There's some Geelong players, like Cam Guthrie's having an awesome season. Mitch Duncan's even been putting in some work, but Guthrie was out last round. Mitch Duncan out with that concussion. Just some tough breaks for some of these players that I truly think that the ones already named, McRae, Darcy Parish, Marcus Bontempelli are some of the best chances. Maybe even Christian Petrarca. Petrarca's been having an awesome season with the Ds. There's definitely a Ds player that has a chance. Other than that, maybe Lyons. Jared Lyons has had a good season, but he's also fallen off a little bit towards the end. Oh man, so many players this season. So many players. There is no outright winner like last year with Lachie Neale. Lachie Neale was just a level above everyone else last season. And I am surprised that we don't have someone kind of backing it up this season. But that just shows how good Lachie was last year. Gaming Boy 121. Okay, I might get a lot of hate for this, but he's a good player, but Bailey Smith is overrated. Now, I did a bit of research for this question yesterday. I'm going to disagree purely for the fact that, like, okay, put this in context. I am 20. I am currently sitting at home, pretty much just starting my life. And this dude, Bailey Smith, is 6 days younger than me. And he is averaging 20 plus disposals a game on a Western Bulldog squad that is ridiculously difficult to find a spot on. And he's helping them to a second position on the AFL leaderboard. I do not think that Bailey Smith is overrated. I think to get the numbers you're getting from him at 20 is just, it's ridiculous. The dude he's not even in his prime yet, and he is younger than me, which I cannot fathom. The fact that he is getting 20 disposals a game. He's been in the league for a really long time as well. You wouldn't think he had been, but he's 20 and he's averaging over 20 disposals a game. He's putting up numbers that you shouldn't ever expect from a 20-year-old. He's doing really, really well, but I understand why you think he's overrated. He is talked about a lot. He does get his name around. I see him in advertisements for KO. That's to show you how far he's already gotten. But he's doing all this at 20, man. The dude is not only putting in a shift for a top tier team, but he's so young and got so much ahead of him. I think if he can't produce like leadership kind of numbers, like what you'd expect from Marcus Bontempelli, maybe you could call him overrated, but I don't think he gets talked about that much for how he actually plays, because you've got Bontempelli, you've got McRae, you've got people on that team who are already being talked about all over the place. I think Bailey Smith is getting a backseat in that sense, but I do get where you see this opinion from. I can understand it. We're gonna finish off Anthony's questions. I think here's the last one of the questions, which is all good. His last two questions are Essendon to make top 8. Essendon to make top 8. I'm going to say go for it. I'm going to say yeah. Essendon to make top 8. That win against West Coast. Obviously, West Coast are struggling this season, like a lot of top tier teams. That 2018 grand final turned out to be the last breath for both of Collingwood and West Coast, I believe. I truly believe last year with West Coast having so much talent on their team, they were going to be premiership contenders for a few more years. But they just don't gel together. They've got too much talent. Andrew Gaff, they've got Tim Kelly in there. They've got Jack Darling and Josh Kennedy in the forward line. Those two should be doing big things. Even the young guys, they've got Cripps, they've got Petricelli, you've got Jeremy McGovern, who's also really, really good. You've got just a bunch of players all round who should be making this team a premiership contender, but it just doesn't feel like they can click with all this talent. I feel like there's too much there. Obviously isn't related to the Essendon question, but it's a good win nonetheless for Essendon, and I think proves them that they can make top 8. I think they can do it. Obviously, you don't want this team to trip towards the end, but if they can make another statement win, I'd say that solidifies, at least earns them a spot. Even if they don't make it, it earns the right for them to be in that conversation. And the last question by Anthony is Dusty overrated? Come on, man. Come on. 3-time Norm Smith medalist, 3-time grand finalist. Like, the dude is breaking numbers we haven't seen before. Obviously, a lot of people talk about him, and even in his bad games, or even in games that aren't about him, he's being talked about. And look, when people say that certain people are overrated, I always tend to kind of get the idea of where they come from, because you hear them all the time, and sometimes if you hear them all the time, no matter what they're doing, you believe they're overrated because you just hear them. You know about them so much, and people talk about them all the time. But Dusty, no, he's not overrated. He is in GOAT contention with what he's been doing. Obviously, there's players who've been putting up better stats than him, like Lance Franklin. A lot of people would argue has got a better all-time ranking than Dusty so far because of obviously his 100-goal season back with Hawthorn. He's won a few premierships now and then, about to hit 1,000 goals in his career. The dude's doing really well, but Dusty, he is the one that has had the entire team rally around him. He's been that leader for so long. Obviously not a captain just yet. I don't think so, at least, if I'm correct. But the dude is just on a tear with the league. He's on a tear. You can't say that he's not an absolute GOAT, an absolute god. The dude is awesome. So I can't say that he is overrated, in my opinion. That's where I'm going to end it all off, though. I appreciate everyone who tuned in and listened to me ramble and rant over everything. But once again, thank you all so much for watching. Leave all your suggestions in the comments below. I would love to hear them all. And if you'd love to see yourself in the video next time, be sure to do so. Again, I hope you all enjoyed. Let's argue AFL forever.